Hey YouTube! If you ever come to Germany as an exchange student, whether that be in high school or in college, you're going to notice that there's a couple things that are very different about the school system. So I thought that I would make a video explaining kind of the differences and how the German school system is set up and so on. So, yay! German school system! Most kids start kindergarten somewhere between the ages of 3 and 4. They go to kindergarten for 2 years-ish, and then they'll start school around the age of 6. Now, when you go to school, it's called Grundschule. You go from grades 1 to 4. Usually, you'll have the same teacher all 4 years, and you'll have the same class all 4 years. After 4th grade, your teacher writes you a recommendation, tells you that you are recommended for a certain type of school. There are 3 types of schools. There is the Hauptschule, the Realschule, and the Gymnasium. On top of this, there's a 4th level, which is Gesamtschule. Gesamtschule is just all these schools combined. The first school is the Hauptschule. It's the least amount of years of school, and after this, you go directly into whatever work you've chosen. You'll do an apprenticeship. People go generally until 8th grade. The second one is the Realschule. They also only go until 10th grade, and then after 10th grade, they go into a 1-year apprenticeship, and then they go to work immediately. The last one is the Gymnasium. I know the most about Gymnasium because when I came as an exchange student, I went to a Gymnasium. Gymnasium is different from high school because it used to go all the way until 13th grade. Nowadays, they're trying to do this reform where they go back to 12th grade to kind of model it after the US. But the last 2 years of school, basically, you take one test every quarter in your classes that you have schriftlich, which means those are just your writing classes. All the rest of your classes, you don't have to take tests in. At the end of the 2 years, when your graduation year, you take a huge amount of tests, like giant sum of everything exams. All those grades are averaged, and then you get your GPA, but your GPA is your Abitursnote. And then with that, you can apply to college. So you can say, for example, 1 is the highest score that you can get, and 6 is the lowest score. So if you get a 1.3, or in German, it's 1,3, that's a really, really good score, and you can study to be a doctor. And it's a lot easier to get a spot in the university versus if you have like a 3.5. So I really like the German school system, especially I like the way it's taught because it's more of your own responsibility. You have 2 majors your last 2 years. So I had history and English because I wanted to take the most advanced English class and because I really like history. And my history class was only like 15 people, which was awesome. We would go on like field trips, and my teacher was amazing and really, really loved history, and I love that because I really got to learn and I really felt like I was getting really involved. And then once a quarter we had these giant exams which are super stressful, but at the same time it wasn't a multiple choice test, so it wasn't like I was memorizing facts. I was studying everything that we had learned, but it was more about reading a text and then applying everything we'd learned to solve some kind of problem, which I thought was really cool. It's more of like a thinking method versus rotely memorizing stuff, which I think, I mean, the point of learning is to actually learn and understand versus just memorizing. So another thing I thought was really cool is that participation in Germany is a lot more valued. They can't just objectively grade you on whether you got 7 out of 10 right, so you got 70%, because you're not taking these kinds of multiple choice tests. And so during class, like, we would have class discussions and people would be like raising their hands like crazy and like really participating. In America, a lot of times what I noticed is that there'd be students who were really smart and they would never say anything and then go home, read the textbook, come and take the tests, and they knew all the facts. I like classroom discussion a lot more, personally. What I also really liked is that they don't have any substitute teachers. It's awesome. Basically, if your teacher is sick or just not there during the day, there's a big board and they write out on the board who's not there, and then you can go to the cafe. If there was like a giant field trip where people went away on like a class trip for like a week, there'd be so many teachers gone, and then you literally would go to school one day and you would only have like 2 periods. I really like the German school system a lot. I think it worked well for me. I think if you are a really high achiever but you're only good in like one subject area, like for example math, it's not as good of a system because you don't get to skip and really challenge yourself in that one area. There's pros and cons, definitely. College is a lot different than college in the States. Colleges are pretty much all public. There aren't that many private ones, and if they're private, they're really expensive. Most of the colleges are public, and so they're big classes, and there's a lot of people in your classes, and a lot more of your responsibility to learn and your responsibility to work hard. But the great thing is that it really doesn't cost anything. In a lot of the states, there's literally no cost to go to school. You'll pay maybe 500 euros per semester for like a bus ticket and insurance and, you know, a couple of other like little things, and then you pay for books. That's it. That's like an amazing deal. And basically, all you do to apply, it's so different from the States. You don't take the SATs, you don't write these long essays, you don't get like letters of recommendation. You basically just submit your Abitur Note, your Abitur GPA, and then they say yes or no, and you might have to wait. They might say, okay, next year. A lot of people actually take gap years. That's totally normal. I was at my graduation ball because I came back to Germany and I went to my ball and I was like, what are you guys all doing next year? Because in the States, when I asked that, everyone immediately was like, oh, I'm going to this college. Here was like, I don't know, I'm going to Australia for 6 months. I'm doing like cooking school in New York and all this stuff. So people are traveling and they don't really have plans, and a lot of them aren't going to college or don't have a spot yet, and they're just trying to see what's going to happen. Those are my thoughts about the German school system and kind of an explanation. So if you're coming to Germany, you can definitely know a little bit more about how the system is set up. And yeah, so have a wonderful day. Bye!